can't work a computer this morning. Sorry, I restarted the counter there. Sorry about that. I got a little click happy with my fingers. Was trying to do something behind the scenes, and I done messed it up. All right. Good morning. Bassie is napping peacefully in the chair here, aren't you, buddy? Yeah. You taking a nanny poopy? Are you taking a nanny poopish? He's like, yeah, leave me alone. Oh, Becky. Becky, we will be surrounding you with prayer as you walk through this. I am so sorry that you have to go through this cancer journey. Honestly, I'm tired of people around me being diagnosed with cancer. I know everybody is. We're praying for you, Becky. I'm so sorry. But God is in control. God is in control despite the fallen world we live in and the difficulty we walk through and the pain and the hurt. God is in control. And I know that probably doesn't give a lot of comfort, but for some reason, everything that's going on in our world and all the sickness and the stuff, for some reason, well, I know why, but that statement, God is in control. He's in control. Gives me this little piece of comfort to know that no matter what happens, healing, not healing, pain, not pain, an easy walk, not an easy walk, at the end of the story, God is in control. And that just recenters my universe a little bit. Just recenters my universe. So, all right, my friends, August 27th, God's anger at sin, Lamentations 2, 1 through 22. The Lord in his anger has cast a shadow over beautiful Jerusalem. The fairest of Israel's cities lies in the dust, thrown down from the heights of heaven. In his day of great anger, the Lord has shown no mercy, even to his temple. Without mercy, the Lord has destroyed every home in Israel. In his anger, he has broken down the fortress walls of beautiful Jerusalem. He has brought them to the ground, dishonoring the kingdom and its rulers. All the strength of Israel vanishes beneath his fierce anger. The Lord has withdrawn his protection as the enemy attacks. He consumes the whole land of Israel like a raging fire. He bends his bow against his people as though he were their enemy. His strength is used against them to kill their finest youth. His fury is poured out like fire on beautiful Jerusalem. Yes, the Lord has vanquished Israel like an enemy. He has destroyed her palaces and demolished her fortresses. He has brought unending sorrows and tears upon beautiful Jerusalem. He has broken down his temple as though it were merely a garden shelter. The Lord has blotted out all memory of the holy festivals and Sabbath days. Kings and priests fall together before his fierce anger. The Lord has rejected his own altar. He despises his own sanctuary. He has given Jerusalem's palaces to her enemies. They shout in the Lord's temple as though it were a day of celebration. The Lord was determined to destroy the walls of beautiful Jerusalem. He made careful plans for their destruction and then did what he had planned. Therefore, the ramparts and walls have fallen down before him. Jerusalem's gates have sunk into the ground. He has smashed their locks and bars. Her kings and princes have been exiled into distant lands. Her law has ceased to exist. Her prophets receive no more vision from the Lord. The leaders of beautiful Jerusalem sit on the ground in silence. They are clothed in burlap and throw dust on their heads. The young women of Jerusalem hang their head in shame. I have cried until the tears no longer come. My heart is broken. My spirit is poured out in agony, and I see the desperate plight of my people. Little children and tiny babies are fainting and dying in the streets. They cry out to their mothers, "We need food and drink." Their lives ebb away in the streets like the life of a warrior wounded in battle. They gasp for life as they collapse in their mother's arms. What can I say about you, who has ever seen such sorrow? O daughter of Jerusalem, to what can I compare your anguish? O virgin daughter of Zion, how can I comfort you? For your wound is as deep as the sea. Who can heal you? Your prophets have said so many foolish things, false to the core. They did not save you from exile by pointing out your sins. Instead, they painted false pictures, filling you with false hope. All who pass by jeer at you. They scoff and insult beautiful Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city called the most beautiful in all the world and joy of all the earth? All your enemies mock you. They scoff and snarl and say, We have destroyed her at last. We have long waited for this day, and it is finally here. But it is the Lord who did just as he had planned. He has fulfilled the promises of disaster he made long ago. He has destroyed Jerusalem without mercy. He has caused her enemies to gloat over her and has given them power over her. Cry aloud before the Lord, O wall of beautiful Jerusalem. Let your tears flow like a river day and night. Give yourselves no rest. Give your eyes no relief. Rise during the night and cry out. Pour out your hearts like water to the Lord. Lift up your hands in prayer, pleading for your children, for in every street they are faint with hunger. O Lord, think about this. Should you treat your own people this way? Should mothers eat their own children, those they once bounced on their knees? Should the priests and prophets be killed within the Lord's temple? See them lying in the streets, young and old, boys and girls, killed by the swords of the enemy. You have killed them in your anger, slaughtering them without mercy. You have invited terrors from all around, as though you were calling them to a day of feasting. In the day of the Lord's anger, no one has escaped or survived. The enemy has killed all the children whom I carried and raised. Hope in the Lord's faithfulness. Lamentations 3:1 through 66. I am the one who has seen the afflictions that come from the rod of the Lord's anger. He has led me into darkness, shutting out all light. He has turned his hand against me again and again all day long. He has made my skin and flesh grow old. He has broken my bones. He has besieged and surrounded me with anguish and distress. He has buried me in a dark place like those long dead. He has walled me in, and I cannot escape. He has bound me in heavy chains. He has bound me in heavy chains, and though I cry and shout, he has shut out my prayers. He has blocked my way with a high stone wall. He has made my road crooked. He has hidden like a bear or a lion, waiting to attack me. He has dragged me off the path and torn me in pieces, leaving me helpless and devastated. He has drawn his bow and made me the target for his arrows. He shot his arrows deep into my heart. My own people laugh at me. All day long they sing their mocking songs. He has filled me with bitterness and given me a bitter cup of sorrow to drink. He has made me chew on gravel. He has rolled me in the dust. Peace has been stripped away, and I have forgotten what prosperity is. I cry out, my splendor is gone. Everything I had hoped from the lion, everything I had hoped from the Lord is lost. The thought of my suffering and homelessness is bitter beyond words. I will never forget this awful time as I grieve over my loss, yet I still dare to hope when I remember this. The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance. Therefore, I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who depend on him, to those who search for him. So it is good to wait quietly for salvation from the Lord, and it is good for people to submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. Let them sit alone in silence beneath the Lord's demands. Let them lie face down in the dust, for there may be hope at last. Let them turn the other cheek to those who strike them and accept the insults of their enemies. For no one is abandoned by the Lord forever. Though he brings grief, he also shows compassion because of the greatness of his unfailing love. For he does not enjoy hurting people or causing them sorrow. If people crush underfoot all the prisoners of the land, if they deprive others of their rights in defiance of the Most High, if they twist justice in the courts, doesn't the Lord see all these things? Who can command things to happen without the Lord's permission? Does not the Most High send both calamity and good? Then why should we, mere humans, complain when we are punished for our sins? Instead, let us test and examine our ways. Let us turn back to the Lord. Let us lift our hearts and hands to the God in heaven and say, We have sinned and rebelled, and you have not forgiven us. You have engulfed us with your anger, chased us down, and slaughtered us without mercy. You have hidden yourself in a cloud, so our prayers cannot reach you. You have discarded us as refuse and garbage among the nations. All our enemies have spoken out against us. We are filled with fear, for we are trapped, devastated, and ruined. Tears stream from my eyes because of the destruction of my people. My tears flow endlessly. They will not stop. Until the Lord looks down from heaven and sees, my heart is breaking over the fate of all the women of Jerusalem. My enemies, whom I have never harmed, hunted me down like a bird. They threw me into a pit and dropped stones on me. The water rose over my head, and I cried out, "This is the end." But I called on your name, Lord, from deep within the pit. You heard me when I cried, listening to my pleading. Hear my cry for help. Yes, you came when I called. You told me, "Do not fear." Lord, you have come to my defense. You have redeemed my life. You have seen the wrong they have done to me, Lord. Be my judge and prove me right. You have seen the vengeful plots my enemies have laid against me. Lord, you have heard the vile names they call me. You know all about the plans that they have made. My enemies whisper and mutter as they plot against me all day long. Look at them. Whether they sit or stand, I am the object of their mocking songs. Pay them back, Lord, for all the evil they have done. Give them hard and stubborn hearts. Chase them down in your anger, destroying them beneath the Lord's heavens. God's anger satisfied. Lamentations 4 1 through 22. How the gold has lost its luster. Even the finest gold has become dull. The sacred gemstones lie scattered in the streets. See how the precious children of Jerusalem, worth their weight in fine gold, are now treated like pots of clay, even made by a common potter. Even the jackals feed their young. But not my people Israel. They ignore their children's cries like ostriches in the desert. The parched tongues of their little ones stick to the roofs of their mouths in thirst. The children cry for bread, but no one has any to give them. The people who once ate the richest foods now beg in the streets for anything they can get. Those who once wore the finest clothes now search for garbage dumps for food. The guilt of my people is greater than that of Sodom, where utter disaster struck in a moment and no hand offered help. Our princes once glowed with health, brighter than snow, whiter than milk. Their faces were as ruddy as rubies, their appearance like fine jewels. But now their faces are blacker than soot. No one recognizes them in the streets. Their skin sticks to their bones. It is as dry and hard as wood. Those killed by the sword are better off than those who die of hunger. Starving, they waste away for lack of food from the fields. Tender-hearted women have cooked their own children. They have eaten them to survive the siege. But now the anger of the Lord is satisfied. His fierce anger has been poured out. He started a fire in Jerusalem that burned the city to its foundations. Not a king in all the earth, no one in all the world would have believed that an enemy could march through the gates of Jerusalem. Yet it happened because the sins of her prophets and the sin of her priests, who defiled the city by shedding innocent blood. They wandered blindly through the streets, so defiled by blood that no one dared touch them. Get away, the people shouted at them. You're defiled. Don't touch us. So they fled to distant lands and wandered among foreign nations, but none would let them stay. The Lord himself had scattered them, and he no longer helps them. People show no respect for the priests and no longer honor the leaders. We looked in vain at our allies to come and save us, but we were looking to nations that could not help us. We couldn't go into the streets without danger to our lives. Our end was near. Our days were numbered. We were doomed. Our enemies were swifter than eagles in flight. If we fled to the mountains, they found us. If we hid in the wilderness, they were waiting for us there. Our kings, the anointed, the very life of our nation, was caught in their snares. Who had thought that his shadow would protect against any nation on earth? Are you rejoicing in the land of Uz, O people of Edom? But you too must drink from the cup of the Lord's anger. You too will be stripped naked in your drunkenness. O beautiful Jerusalem, your punishment will end. You will soon return from exile. But Edom, your punishment is just beginning. Soon your many sins will be exposed. All right, we are on to page 204, right at the top. She's still talking about her timeline, and she's going through, well, her timeline. On April 22nd, Stephanie and I caught up over Zoom with the intent to talk about my next book. I told her later that I'd prayed she would have an idea for a different book. I was losing my nerve to write the body book. It was too close, too real, too much for me to be so vulnerable about. But she didn't have another idea. Instead, she had only more passion for the project and invited me to write bravely and see what happens. I wrote the words, "Write bravely," on a sticky note and put it on my bedside table. My call with Stephanie was on Wednesday. I had a busy workday on Tuesday. I took Friday and Saturday off, and I woke up Sunday morning at 5 a.m. ready to go, ready to write. I began writing this book that day and finished the first draft of the manuscript exactly 60 days later on June 26, 2020. Those were holy, sacred, and beautiful days. I'd get done writing in the morning and think all day on the words God had given me earlier. I thought about you all every single day and prayed for you, prayed for us. I prayed for revival. I prayed for shame to fall off us collectively, individually, and definitively. In July, our family went on sabbatical, and I entered what I now describe as a redeemed Eden state. Our city was in the middle of an intense COVID outbreak, so the travel we'd planned for our sabbatical turned into a quiet family staycation. We rented a beach house on a small barrier island a few miles away from our home and did nothing but spent time with our immediate family for 31 days. We deleted all social media, didn't bring our laptops, and rested like our lives depended on it. I took a few bathing suits and comfy dresses and a freshly printed copy of this manuscript. I was determined to read the book as if it wasn't my own, to ask myself the questions at the end of each chapter, to make sure I believed it to be true and helpful for me as well as you. In the mornings, I read the Bible and this book, and the rest of the days I spent living free in my own body. I moved, I rested, I lived in a bathing suit like it wasn't an ensemble of shame. Sometime during the month, I got to this question in chapter 7. What would an act of worship in your body outside of the typical singing and dancing look like today? And I wrote, become a barre, is it barre, bar? I don't know. Become a bar instructor in the margin of my manuscript. A year earlier, I'd begun attending a barre studio in Charleston, and I knew from my very first class that I wanted to be an instructor. The owner of the studio had even suggested I audition to be an instructor, but I only found defeat and discouragement in my heart when I considered it. I'm 36, very curvy, not your average fitness instructor. My heart is free, but my body doesn't fit the typical fitness instructor mold. Until I read this book and remembered that I live in the kingdom. And in the kingdom, there is not typical, there is just intentionally made. And the most worshipful thing I could do with this body is to say yes, to lead in a brave new space, in a brave new way. So that day, in the middle of sabbatical, I started practicing for my audition. All right, I'm stopping there. I underlined that sentence last time and it hit me just as hard this time. I think it's my favorite sentence in the whole book. In the kingdom, there is not typical, there is just intentionally made. How often, I mean, we've talked about it this whole book, how often we search for what the world says is good, what the world says is right, what the world, deems appropriate and good. That's the whole point of this book. But that sentence right there to me sums up this entire book. In the kingdom, there is not typical. There is just intentionally made. This kingdom, this earthly body, that's where we search for typical. And we don't need to, because there is no typical in the kingdom. I love that. I'm going to post it again today. I posted it last year. I love that. There is no typical, just intentionally made. Love it. All right. Jennifer says, trying to get my hubby on the THM train. How do I get him to understand that emails are not the devil? Take him to visit Pearl and Serene. Legit, my husband every night is like, "Is this an on-plan meal?" And I look at him and say, "Yes," thinking he's gonna go, "Oh," and he goes, "Okay, good." Every every night since Saturday, so 4 nights in a row now, not only has he eaten an on-plan meal, he has asked for me to make him an on-plan meal. Girls, I have been nothing but an example. I have not pushed. I've made comments here and there about like why such and such is healthy, not derogatory. Well, I make fun of him all the time for the sugar he eats, but not like pushing him, not just when he asks a question, I answer. And I've just been an example to him. And now I'd like to say on his own, he's beginning to make these decisions. But at the prodding of Serene specifically, he has been making decisions. Like he still drinks a sweet tea and he's still eating what he wants for breakfast and lunch, but for dinner, like we're making steps. And that's the same thing, Jennifer, just be an example. The world has taught us that carbs are the devil. The world has taught us that carbs are bad for our body because the world is full of misled, confused diet information that complicates things and makes it difficult to find health because you don't know what is right anymore. And you have so many people that are convincing in their talk about how carbs are bad for you. Carbs are created by God. Carbs are a gift from God, and our body runs efficiently with carbs. But the world has twisted and warped that. And the world has also twisted and warped the carbs that we eat, making it more and more difficult for our bodies to do what they're supposed to do with the carbs. So just be an example and just share when it feels right. And he'll come around someday, maybe. And if he doesn't, well, I had to go check out a person who walked by my windows a couple of times last night during Zoom. Donna, what'd you do? Go out and confront him? Donna's out there kicking somebody's butt who's walking by her window. Did you call somebody or did you just walk out and be like, "What's up?" to a stranger? It is bar. Okay. Thank you, Anita. Next year I'll have to ask you again because I won't remember. My name is Connie, and asking for prayers for my husband who has a mass on his kidney. Today we head to Cleveland Clinic to see what is next. Absolutely, Connie. We'll absolutely be praying for him. What is your husband's name? He's doing okay, Meredith, because he's still having sweet tea and stuff. Yeah. Oh, no. Baby steps. That would be great, Jennifer. That would make a great t-shirt. All right, my friends. Okay. We're praying for... Okay, let's go ahead and pray. God, our Father, we come to you today thankful for this opportunity, thankful for technology that allows us to all come together in the morning and bring our praise and our worship and our gratitude to you, our King. I thank you that we have this medium to be able to join together, that we have each other to request prayer from, that we can lean on each other and know that when we ask for prayer, we can be confident that our sisters here are praying. God, we lift up Becky to you today, and I am absolutely sure she has a lot of fear right now, as any of us would. I'm sure her family is filled with fear, but God, you are our peace. Your mercies are new every morning, just like we read today. You are our comfort. You are the only thing and the only one that can truly bring us comfort and peace. And God, we ask for that today for Becky, for Becky's family. We ask for wisdom for the doctors as they begin this journey of staging and treatment decisions and deciding what direction to go for Becky. I just cover her in prayer today. I ask for clear answers for the doctors, for clear direction, a very clear treatment path, and an easy treatment for her that will heal her of this and relieve her of this cancer. God, we hate cancer. There's so many of my friends that are dealing with cancer, and I hate the word. But you are our comfort. You are our healer. You are our provider. You are our comfort in all things, difficult and good, easy and hard. You are our comforter. And I just pray that Becky will feel that today. I also pray for Connie's husband with this mass and not knowing the next steps. And as he goes to Cleveland today, I just ask again for clear directions and answers for the doctors to make clear a path of treatment, to bring clarity to what is going on in his body. And I just pray for your comfort for them today and peace for their hearts, knowing that you, our God, are in control despite any answers, whether they're the ones we want or the ones that are the hardest to hear. You are in control, and help us to just lean into that today. God, I also I lift up Jennifer to you as she walks through this health journey and works with her husband on understanding carbs and how they work in our bodies and how they are a gift from you. And God, I just pray for his eyes to be opened to that. And I thank you for my husband making steps to get on plan. And I just pray that you'll continue to lead him in that area. God, as we go through our day, I just pray for your peace to surround us, for us to have confidence in our journey and our health journey, confidence in the decisions we make, that they may honor you and that they can nourish our bodies. Thank you for your love, your peace, and your mercy and your grace in your precious name. Amen. All right, sweet friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Donna ain't afraid of nobody. I'm just going to go out there. I don't care if there's a stranger. Who are you and why are you here? She's just taking names. I'm glad it was nobody nefarious, Donna. I would never in a million years. If there was somebody outside, I'd like call somebody, or I ain't walking out and seeing who it is. Not Donna. She's just going to be like, what's up? Who are you? What are you doing here? She's just ready to rumble, right? Don't mess with Donna. She's taking people down, even if it's just a grandson of somebody's neighbor. She is taking care of business. All right, my friends, I'm going to make breakfast this morning. First, I have to do my fingernails. Wait, what time is it? I have a Zoom at 10. What time is it? 10 that I have a Zoom? Let me look to make sure I can go live from, not till 11. So I'm going to figure out something to cook this morning after I do my fingernails. I have priorities, all right? Food or fingernails. Today it's fingernails because I'm going out to lunch and I want to make sure my nails look lovely. And then I'll figure out something to make for breakfast this morning. And I hope you'll all join me. I love you guys. Thanks for being here for devotions. I'll see you back for devotions.